Hello, good afternoon, my love. When I saw my grandson with that huge tool, I couldn't contain myself. I never imagined that at the age of 45 my life would take such an unexpected and forbidden turn. Elena has always been considered his favorite grandmother. My family, mother at 16, grandmother at 37, I was young enough to understand modern slang, but old enough to give sage advice, or at least that's what I thought. My life was always a little out of the ordinary. I got pregnant young, fought to get it. I raised my son alone, and built a family. Career as a graphic designer at the age of 40, I felt fulfilled in many aspects, but something was still missing. Maybe it was the excitement of youth, the adrenaline of new experiences. Little did I know that I was about to experience something that would change everything. It all started when my grandson Lucas came to live with me to attend university at the age of 23. He looked like his father. My son was the same age, tall, with piercing green eyes and a smile that lit up any room, but there was something more to him. A maturity and an intensity that made me. Grandma was intrigued. "Are you sure you won't bother me if I stay here?" Lucas asked while unloading the bags from the car. I smiled, helping him with a box. "Of course not, honey, it'll be great. Have company." Little did I know how true and dangerous those words would be. The first few months were peaceful, dividing his time between studies and the small freelance jobs he did on the computer. My normal life, working as a graphic designer at home and occasionally going out with friends or for a casual date. It was Friday night when things started to change. I had cancelled a date, preferring to stay at Casa Lucas. I also had no plans. We decided to watch a movie together, something we hadn't done for weeks due to our busy schedules. "How about some wine to go with it?" the grandmother suggested. Lucas, already going to the kitchen. "Good idea," I replied, settling down on the sofa. I watched him move around the kitchen, noticing how his shirt fit his muscles in a way that I looked away, mentally berating myself for those thoughts. Lucas returned with a bottle, and Doy's Copos sat next to me, closer than usual. The heat of his body was noticeable, and a soft aroma of his perfume reached me, awakening something that was dormant. For a long time the film was a romantic drama full of intense scenes and passion. With each sip of wine I felt my mind lighter and my body more aware of Lucas' presence. There was some tension. I looked out of the corner of my eye and realized I was pissing. "I'm not looking." Our eyes met, and for a moment the air seemed to electrify. The grandmother, he began with a hoarse voice. "Lucas," I interrupted him, not knowing what to say. Before we could continue, the phone rang, breaking. At the moment it was my mother's mother. Daughter Lucas calling to see how we were. The conversation was brief and uncomfortable, with the guilt of what almost happened weighing on every word. After that things changed subtly. There was a tension in the air, an electricity that seemed to grow every day. I found myself watching Lucas when he wasn't looking, admiring how his shirt fit his muscles, or how his eyes sparkled when he talked about his projects. Lucas, in turn, seemed to always be around, offering to help me with the housework, asking about my work opportunities. So we were alone one afternoon while I was working on a project in my office at Casa. Lucas came to ask me for help with a university project. "Of course, dear, what do you need?" Him, turning my chair. Looking at him, he came closer, leaning over me to look at the computer screen. His chest brushed my shoulder, and I felt my body stop. His smell enveloped me, a mixture of aftershave soap and something that was unique. "Lucas, is this drawing here?" he said. His voice was low and close to my ear. I couldn't make him see clearly. I tried to concentrate on the screen, but it was impossible with him so close. I turned my face to talk to him and realized that our lips were far apart. Time seemed to stop. I saw the desire in your eyes. Reflecting what I was feeling, I knew I should move away, say something, break that moment, but my body didn't respond. First to move, closing the distance between us. His lips met mine hesitantly, but soon the kiss exploded. Suddenly my hands found his neck, pulling him towards me. His hands explored my body with an urgency that left me breathless. Each touch was like fire on my skin, awakening sensations that I thought were dormant. For a long time, when we separated, panting, the reality of what we had done fell on us like a bucket of cold water. This can't happen," I said with a trembling voice. Lucas walked away, running his hands through his hair in a gesture of frustration. "I know," But I can't stop thinking about you, Grandma, about us. The word grandma hit me like a punch in the stomach, brutally reminding me of our relationship. How wrong what we were doing was. Lucas, I'm your grandmother, this is wrong, so many levels, I know that. He replied, his voice full of emotion, but I don't care how I feel about you, it's real. In the days that followed, we tried to stay away from each other. I immersed myself in work, taking on more projects than I could handle it. Lucas spent more time away from home, arriving late and leaving early, but the tension between us was palpable every time we passed each other in the kitchen or living room. The air was filled with unfulfilled desire. Our eyes met, and they held each other a little longer than they should have, each touch accidental. Like an electric current. One night I couldn't take it anymore. I heard Lucas arriving late, probably thinking I would already be asleep. I left my room and found him in the kitchen drinking water. Our eyes met, and without saying a word we approached each other. Another the kiss. It was desperate, full of repressed desire and guilt. This is crazy, you murmur. I know, Lucas replied, his hands exploring my body with a familiarity that scared and excited me at the same time. But I can't stay away. We made love to you right there in the kitchen, with our clothes spread all over the floor. It was wrong, it was forbidden, but it was intense and passionate like nothing I had experienced before. It touched me as if I were the most precious thing in the world. Each caress was a mixture of reverence and burning desire. Then, lying on the sofa in the living room, the guilt began to infiltrate. What are we doing, Lucas? I asked with a broken voice. He pulled me closer, kissing my forehead. I don't know, Grandma. I just know that I never felt anything like this before. What followed was a roller coaster of emotions. We tried to resist, we really tried, but it was as if a floodgate had opened, and now it was impossible to contain the current of desire between us. We found times and places for our clandestine meetings: in the bathroom, while the shower muffled our moans, in the office late at night, and even in the car parked in an isolated place. Every time we were together, I swore it would be the last time, but then Lucas looked at me like that, or I would brush his hand against mine during dinner, and all my determination would disappear. The guilt would consume me. How could I do this? He was my grandson, my son's son. Every family call, every photo on the walls, was a painful reminder of what we were all about doing. One night after another of our passionate encounters, Lucas broke the post-coital silence with a suggestion that chilled me to the bone. And if we tell the family, he said, his fingers tracing patterns on my bare skin, and if we run away together, I abruptly incorporated the shock evident on my face. Lucas, you have gone crazy. That would destroy our family. He too sat with his intense eyes fixed on mine. But how can we continue living like this, hidden, feeling guilty? I love you, Elena. The use of my name instead. Grandma hit me like lightning. It was the first time she called me like that since it all started. I love you too, Lucas. I admitted to feeling tears starting to form in my eyes. But this can't continue. It's wrong on so many levels. Who decides what? Is it right or wrong? His passionate voice argued. We are two consenting adults. We are not hurting anyone, except our entire family if they find out, he replied. We have been silent for a long time, with the weight of our situation upon us. How could we continue? How could we stop them? The days that followed were tense. We tried to stay away, but it was as if our bodies had a mind of their own. A look at them, an accidental rose, and we returned to each other's arms, consumed by a passion that seemed uncontrollable. It was on a Sunday afternoon when everything changed. We were in the kitchen preparing lunch together when the doorbell rang. Before we could react, we heard the voice of my son Lucas's father coming from the living room. Mother, Lucas, we are there. Panic hit us like a wave. We moved. He left quickly, trying to look as normal as possible. But when my son entered the kitchen, I'm sure he felt the tension in the air. Hello, Dad, said Lucas, his voice a little louder than normal. We weren't expecting you. Today I was nearby, and I thought I would pay a surprise visit, he replied, his eyes moving between the two of us. It's okay here, of course, dear, I replied, forcing a smile. We were just preparing lunch. Do you want to join us? Lunch was torture. Every look exchanged between Lucas and I seemed to scream our secret. My son asked casual questions about our routine, about Lucas's studies, and each answer seemed like a lie, even when it was true. After Lucas and I left, We looked at each other, and the reality of our situation finally hit us full force. "We can't go on like this," I said, my voice shaking. Lucas nodded with tears shining in his eyes. "I know, but how can we stop? How can I live without you now?" I had no answer for that. The truth was that no matter how bad it was, I didn't know how to go back. The idea of not having Lucas in my arms, of not feeling his kisses, his caresses, seemed unbearable. That night we made love for the last time. It was slow in love, every touch was air. Goodbye. We tried to memorize every detail, every sensation, knowing it would be the last time. The next morning Lucas announced he was moving to a dorm on campus. The decision hurt, but we knew it was necessary. We needed distance to get over it, to try to get back to normal, while we helped him packing our bags. Each object we kept seemed to carry a memory of the time we spent together. The silence between us was heavy, full of unspoken words and promises we could never make. We met when it was time for Lucas to leave. We hugged one last time. "I love you," he whispered in my ear. "I love you too," I replied with a broken voice. But sometimes love is not enough. I saw Lucas' car drive away, taking with him a part of my heart. Knew that nothing would be the same as before. Our relationship, our family changed irreversibly. In the months that followed, I tried to resume my normal life. I immersed myself in work. I spent more time with friends. I even tried some meetings, but nothing came of it. The void that Lucas had left at family events, our eyes were still filled with everything we had experienced, everything we could never have. It was a constant pain, a reminder of the price we paid for our forbidden passion. A year after leaving from Lucas, I received an invitation to his graduation. My heart sank just thinking about seeing him again, being in the same space as him, knowing that we couldn't be together. On the day of the ceremony, I sat next to my son and his wife watching. Lucas received his diploma. He was beautiful, mature. His eyes shone with pride and accomplishment. Our eyes met for a brief moment, and I felt my heart beat faster. After the ceremony, during the reception, Lucas approached me. "Hello, Grandma," he said in a voice soft. "Hello, dear," I replied, trying to maintain my composure. "Congratulations on your graduation." We remained in awkward silence for a few seconds, the weight of our history floating between us. I shook my head, and we discreetly moved away from the crowd. We found a quiet corner in the campus garden. "How are you?" he asked with his green eyes studying intensely. "I'm fine," I lied. "And you?" Lucas sighed. "Honestly, it's been difficult. Not a day goes by without me thinking about you." We felt my breathing stopped. "Lucas, I know," he stopped. "We can't go back, but I wanted you to know that what we experienced was real. For me, the realest thing I've ever felt." Tears formed in my eyes. "For me too," I admitted, "but we have to move on." Lucas nodded with a sad smile on his lips. "I got a job in another city," he said. "I think the distance will help." My heart sank with the news, but I knew it was for the best. "I'm proud of you, Lucas. You're going to do incredible things." We hugged, and for one moment, everything, the love and desire we felt for each other, threatened to resurface. But we separated before anything could happen. "Goodbye," Elena said, using my name once again. "Goodbye, Lucas," I replied, feeling that a part of me was leaving with him. For years past, Lucas built his career in the new city. She ended up getting married and had her own children. I continued with my life, focusing on work and family. We occasionally saw each other at family gatherings, always keeping a respectful distance. But the look we shared always carried with it the memory of what we were experiencing today. At 60 years, I look back and think about that intense and forbidden summer. The guilt is still there, as is the regret for the lies and the risk we took. But there is also a part of I who refused to repent completely. What I experienced with Lucas taught me about the intensity of desire, the complexity of love, and the limits that society imposes on our emotions. It was a mistake, it was dangerous, but it was also great. Deep and transformative experience of my life. Sometimes when I'm alone, I allow myself to relive those moments in my mind. The feeling of your hands, the warmth of your kisses, the connection we feel is a bittersweet memory, a secret that I will carry with me forever. Lucas and I never spoke again. About what happened is a closed chapter in our lives, a shared secret that unites us and separates us at the same time. But sometimes when our eyes meet at a family gathering, I see in your eyes the reflection of that passion that once consumed us. I know that what we did was wrong in the eyes of society and morality. I know that we run the risk of destroying our family, but I also know that for a brief moment, I experienced a love and passion that many spend their entire lives without knowing, and perhaps in the end, that is greatest lesson I've learned that love in all its forms is a powerful and unpredictable force that sometimes takes us that we never imagined, makes us question everything we thought we knew about ourselves. As I watch my family grow, I see Lucas with his children being the father loving this I always knew it would be. I see the life we built based on the decisions that Tom, and although there is a pang that this would have happened in my heart, I know that in the end, we made the right decision. Our story will always remain a secret, one summer of passion. Forbidden, we keep deep in our hearts a reminder that life is complex, that love doesn't always follow the rules, and that sometimes the greatest act of love is to let go. And so on with the weight of this secret and the richness of with. After this experience, I continued on my path, a woman marked by a forbidden passion but determined to live each day fully, taking with me the lessons of love, desire and sacrifice that I learned in that unforgettable summer with my grandson.